Hello, and welcome to FTC Team 16296 whatever video on REV linear slides. We will be covering how to build them and our experience with them during the 2019-2020 season. Back then, we relied on the use of linear slides for our intake and outtake systems. We used the REV slides, thinking that they would work fine. But no, we had to make many substitutions, and in the end, these slides were only good for carrying light to medium loads. We used the slides to carry the block up, but also to move it horizontally as shown here. It did not work very well. The string would slip off the sprocket and it would be very slow. So if you're planning to do vertical heavy lifting, I would instead recommend go build a slide for that.
Hello, I will be showing you how to build the linear slides. So first of all, let's go over the parts. We have some surgical tubing here. We have a pulley bearing, and these things right here. These 5 parts right here, including the bag of screws, are part of the linear motion V2 kit on REV. So these 6 things are a part of it. So you have to buy that. We have some WUHMP cord, I think it's what it's called. You can also find this on REV. You can find all of this on REV actually. Some REV extrusions here. These are actually the 420 millimeter ones, and a sprocket. This is a sprocket to wrap this around onto. So yeah, let's get started. So first of all, let's start with the front. So now we have to use these. These are like a front plate, and you can see here, over here, it's like a ridge. So this goes into the other side, the other extrusion. So first, let's put in our screws. So let's use the screws from the bag that comes with the motion kit. So we need one of these hex nuts and one of these lock nuts. These are different than the normal ones. They're a bit like thicker, and they have different properties to them. So now let's do this. So first, let's put them on. So we're gonna put them on this side, the one without ridges, the one that isn't raised up, because they both have ridges. So we only put 2, and that 2 they're going to be on opposite sides. Just place the lock nut on top. Don't tighten. Just put it on so that the screw doesn't fall off. That's all we need. And let's do that for the second hole. Right. Now that we've gotten it on there, let's put it in. So the screw side will go into the main one here, and then the lifted side will go into the other side. Give a little bit of space in between, just because we need that space later on, and then tighten. But don't tighten fully. Just tighten it enough so that it won't just fall around while we do the rest. So yeah, that's good. Now let's move on to the other one. Same deal. So yeah, same deal. Oh, and just as clarification, do not use these screws, the ones with the circle, the ones that have circle, it's like a circle on top. Don't use that for this part. These are actually used for the inner part that come, like it's a inner piece that you put in the middle of the extrusions, and those when we tried them out, it really wasn't that good. So we aren't gonna use that in today's little slide. So again, we want it to be snug but not tight. These lock nuts are pretty hard to come off once they're fully tightened. Alright. Now we will Alright, now let's slide it in. But make sure, now this time the upper part, the screw should be on the other side. So like this. And the ridges should be on the other. So let's put that in. Again, leave a little bit of space, almost the same amount. And then tighten. And now see. Here. It does work, but you can see it sort of coming together, but we still need to do some fixes to it. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to put supports on top of here so that it doesn't fall out that way, alright? So, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these extra screws. Oh yeah, always keep some extra screws. These are M3 8mm, and I'm keeping some M3 16 millimeters, with also some spare normal lock nuts and lock nuts. So yeah, so we put it here. We put it on this side. Again, make some room. Make it so that only the there's only enough space for the screw. And then we are going to use a normal nut. So actually, yeah, first put the nut in, not fully though, then put the screw in. And this is what, and if there's not enough space as there is right now, always loosen it up so you can move it up a bit, because that's what we need. That's why I said to loosen up. So now that the nut is in, alright, yeah, perfect. Now again, tighten it up again. And yeah, same thing on the other side, on top here. So, yeah. just as a precaution. It can still happen, but also we want these to be almost perfectly even. So if we put these screws here, then they'll almost be perfectly even. So don't skip on not putting a screw here. Alright, now you can see it's starting to take form, as you know, it is. So, now that we've done this, only if your slides aren't doing this, if they aren't smooth, then I would say get some grease. I will be using this. I use this for my team. Just spray it along the middle before, take it off and then redo and spray it in the middle. Cause if not, then you're gonna have like really squeaky and creaky sound, and that's not good at all. So just a precaution. Now let's move on to the top part, the top ones. So for this is where it kind of gets a bit difficult. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take an M3, one of the extra screws, the by 18 millimeters. Oh, sorry, no, the longer one, the M3 to 16 milliliter, and just drive it in. Drive it in like this. Make sure it is fully, sorry, like this. Make sure it is fully straight in, or else it will not work. It won't. Make sure it's not crooked like this. It's crooked. I don't know if you can tell, but it is crooked here. So you have to like redo it and make sure it is always straight every time you do it. So I will do that. Oh, and also the little, there are like these knobs at the bottom here. They should be facing down, not the part without the knobs. So I'm just gonna do that. And this may take a while and many tries, because you're basically threading your own, well, threads basically. So, yeah. Alright, now that both of these end caps have been placed on, make sure that they are super tight. They have to be super tight because that's where most of the pulling action is going to be. And I said use the 16mm screw. I just meant that to do it to make the threads in, then take it out, and then use the 8mm. So just do that. Now we want the end caps to be flush with the ground. So we put it onto the ground. Take out loosen up this little screw here that we placed on earlier. Loosen it up, and then use our screwdriver to move it up. So let's just tighten it where it'll be now it's flush with the ground here. Same thing at the top. Alright. Now it is flush with the ground, and it is not just standing up on one leg. So now we have this. Time to do the screwing the WHUMP cord. By the way, all the screws, everything to make this will be in the description below, so you don't have to go out and search by yourself. By yourself. So yeah. All right. So now we have this part. This. Let me just. Yeah. This thing. This thing is used to keep the. Come on. Yeah. Keep this pulley in place. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep it inside of here, use it through the opening, right? Then you're going to take 16mm screw and just push it through. Just thread it through, just like how you did. Just thread it. Just thread it through. That's all you have to do. Don't worry about anything coming up. All you have to worry about is just this being straight and threading through it. If at first it seems to like bend down, that's alright. In the end, it will be fixed. So, and we're just threading it right now, so that it'll be easier for us to thread the cord through later on. Alright, now once it's like about halfway done, take the screw out using the screwdriver. Now, down here at the bottom, we are going to put any however long you want screw. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna use the 16mm. just because I want that extra space so I can put in the screw, but it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna put it on the one closest to the middle, not the one outside, the one closest to the middle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in like that, hold it, flip it around. Then we're gonna place a lock nut. Lock nut are the thick ones. Lock nut right in, and we're just gonna screw it right in. We're just gonna screw it so it can be held in place. Almost there. If your screwdriver gets stuck, then you can always use a pair of pliers, like I am. Alright, so yeah. This is tight. So, now we're gonna use the cord. So, this part is tricky because it really depends on how much spacing you've put in between the plates, the screws, and the end caps, and how long your thing is. So yours length is gonna be way different than mine, but there is a way to figure out which length and where you are going to end it. So we want this to be very, very, very like strong, and strong, not strong, tense. Tense is the better word. We want it to be tense down from here to here. We want it to be very tense from here to here. Because if it's tense, then it's going to go up really fast and come down very fast as well. Because the surgical tubing is also going to help with that, but we'll get to that at a later point. Right now, if you are using this with a sprocket in mind, which you can do, by the way, I will show you how to thread it later on, but I do not have a motor I can use right now to demonstrate, so I will later on in the video show how to thread it and then hook it up. So right now I'm just showing you how hooking it up without motor. So first, make just a little hole. Into that hole, we will place our bearing. Now, if you are using a sprocket, make sure there's enough to wrap around the sprocket. You will understand later why. So now, we have this. Now, this will go into our little holder here. It will be a very tight fit, but since we have already threaded it, it should be very simple to use. Make sure that the end is falling off of the last slide, because if not, then you will not have a correct place to put your sprocket, and then you'll have to redo your stringing. So I will attach this right now. For this, use the 16mm screw. Put this in. You have your threaded hole. We had our threaded hole that we made, right? Now, this hole where you see the bearing is the front. We will put our screw through that, place a nut in the end cap right there, and then start screwing it. Now that we have threaded the bearing on, we will wrap this end string onto the bottom screw that we put on, and just keep on wrapping. Just wrap from the bottom to the top. Remember, this has to be really tight. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide it through, then we're gonna make a knot around it. So we are gonna make a hole. We're gonna make like a little bunny ear, and then put the end of the rope in the hole, and then hold it, and then boom. Yeah, now it is threaded. Now, if your slide is being kind of, if it's not being smooth on these parts, then you can add some grease onto it. Mine are, so I will add a little bit of grease. And then grab something small like a cotton swab, and then use that to kind of just spread it around. Coatings of this over the season. So over the season, you guys also might have to do a few more coatings. Now that we have tied it on the bottom, all we have to do now, if your thing is being, now it is very smooth because we applied that grease. The grease, just, yeah. I will just cut this. Make sure you don't cut it too big, or else your sprocket will be ruined. So yeah. Put that down there. Now it's time for the ah, the surgical tubing. So the surgical tubing is a bit, it's almost the same as the same way. Same way you do the cord, you do the, come on, you do the surgical tubing. Now the surgical tubing is a little bit different because you have to make sure that you put not too much, that there isn't enough tension, or you put too little and there's too much tension. So, and we're still going to be using string. So in the bag that you get with the linear kit, grab two hex screws. Then first put one in the surgical tubing. This does take a while, but since it is pretty small, it should not take that long. Alright, now that we have gotten the nut in the hole, we're gonna take a little bit of string, make a little loop like that, right? Then we're gonna use a zip tie. Yeah, a zip tie, and just zip it around the zip tie the loop around the nut. There's a loop on it, cut off any excess so we can use that on the second one. Now that the zip tie is zipped around it, make sure the zip tie is around the loop and is also on the nut, a screw, sorry. Make sure your cut is pretty clean, or else it has a high chance of just fraying out and being very great. Alright, so same thing. So get a 8 screw, just place it into the keycap here. Place the loop in, right? First place the loop, then place a thick, one of the thick nuts, lock nut. Put in the lock nut. Or other way, you can put in a lock nut, put the screw into the keyhole, then put the loop over that, so it's a bit easier. Now tighten the lock nut, and then make sure it's not too tight, but just tight enough so that it won't fall off. Because that's all we really need. Right. Nice and tug. Make sure the string won't fall off. Try pulling at the string, and if it does seem to fall off, keep on tightening. Because during play, it has a high chance of falling off. So now that, then same thing on the other side. So we have to find, just pull it where there would be like the medium amount of tension, and then just pull a little bit more so that there's a bit more tension, and then cut. I like to cut it slanted so that it's easier to put it in. So yeah, put in the second one and then repeat the process. Alright, so I made 2 mistakes here. So instead of putting the screws on the end cap, you put it on the parts without end caps. And other than that, those are the only 2 mistakes. Make sure to cut off the ends of the zip ties, and yeah, that's it. You have a fully working linear slide. Make sure to put coats of grease on it if it still is not performing as well. And I will show you how. And I will show you how to wrap around the sprocket. Now, other than that, that's the end of the building video. So the way we did it on our robot is that, so you can see this, hold up, let me just straighten my camera out for a bit. Right, focus. Alright, so now you can see this is going through, but we have 3 holes. So this is the main, how we put it in. So we put it in through here, looped it around, and then did that same knot, the same knot thing where you make a hole, then you put the string through it. So that's what we did, and we kept on doing that at different intervals until we got up to here. So that's how we did our stringing process. We did that for all of them. There's no change, and it worked. Just as a precaution, please, if you are going to use this to lift heavy items in and up, do not go. You're better off with the Go Builder. If not, then this is it's perfectly fine for any other usage. If you're doing something horizontally, it's really good. Vertically, it's alright, but yeah. Thanks for watching, and share to other teams that may or may not that may need it.